What's up, guys? I'm Allie Stolar, and this is episode 2 of my creative education series. If you haven't seen episode 1 yet, I will link it in the description. Last time we talked about casting, which was something more for filmmakers, but today we are talking about accents. So this episode is for actors. I get asked a lot how I learned accents because, as you can tell, I have a fairly neutral accent. A lot of people usually can't tell where I'm from. So these are just some of the things that I've learned. I didn't go to acting school. The only schooling I have experience with is theater in middle school and high school, and they didn't really get into accents and stuff like that. Probably one of the biggest tips for this whole series will be watch movies, especially for this one. I feel like it's really important because I learned how to do accents, mainly the British accent that I do in the monologue that I'm going to show you at the end of this video, from watching movies, specifically the Harry Potter movies, because when I was little, I was obsessed with those. I still am, to be honest. And I've always wanted to be an actor, and so when I was little, I would run around pretending to be Hermione and practice the accent, and that actually really helped me once I got serious about acting, be able to pick up on accents a little quicker because I listened to them. So either watch movies or listen to people talking that have that accent that you're looking for whatever project you're wanting to work on. And I find it's handy to have accents that you know before you have to be filming something with that accent. So I learned these accents just because. Usually, though, watching movies or listening to an accent is what helps me the most rather than looking up specific techniques. But there's a lot on YouTube where you can look up techniques for specific accents, you know, Irish accents, Southern accents, British, stuff like that. You can find like very specific notes on like the tone of voice and everything that goes with the accent, because the accent isn't just the way you say the words, it's the sentence structure, the way your voice moves up and down at different parts of the words and sentences. It's a lot more complicated than people seem to think. Like I said, I have a very neutral accent, but I, was born and raised in Texas, so I'm around Southern accents all the time. I always have been. So that accent kind of came natural to me. There wasn't really any studying that I had to do to get that accent. But for more complicated things like British accents and stuff like that, watch movies and listen to the accents and focus on vowel sounds. That's my second biggest tip when you are learning an accent. Pay attention, pick out all the vowels, think of the short and long sounds of the vowels. For example, the short sound of the letter O is ah, and the long sound is O. And O's and I's specifically, I feel like are the most important vowels to really look at when you're trying to pick up an accent. So listen to the people, I'm just going to use British as an example because that's the accent I do in this video, but listen to people with British accents from, whatever part of England you're looking for. If you want something more posh or if you want like a Cockney accent, just make sure you look up those specifics and listen to people with those accents talk. Look them up on YouTube, find movies, and listen to those specific words, how they say their vowels, specifically I's and O's, and also look at R's. I feel like R is a really big letter when you're talking about accents because a lot of accents have really harsh R's. Some of them are very soft. When you go with, a usual British accent, you're not going to say car, you're going to say caw. You want to make sure that you listen to how they say their R's. Or for example, if you're looking at an Irish accent, they tend to have harder R's. And so that's a letter that you should really pay attention to. And most of all, just practice. That's what I did. Once I listened to the accent and tried to pick out a few parts to focus on, like, okay, I'm going to focus on my O's and my I's and listen to how they say them and repeat those. And I'm going to listen to the R's and say how they repeat those. And then put together short sentences, and it's easy for it to be a sentence you've already heard. So pick a line from a movie, from a specific character, something like that, and practice that sentence and think about every sound that they make in each word. Think about when their voice goes up, when their voice goes down, the tone of it, and all of those things, and really just practice a little bit at a time. And once you're comfortable with one sentence, move on to 3 sentences, move on to a paragraph, a whole monologue, and it'll come to you. Really, the best thing to do is just immerse yourself completely in whatever accent it is that you're trying to learn. It's almost like learning another language. The more you're exposed to it, the easier it's going to come to you, the easier it's going to be for you to pick that accent up. So this monologue that I'm doing in this video was something I recorded and posted a couple years ago, and I redid the monologue though for this video because I have been practicing more and need some more recent monologues, stuff like that. Most of mine are really old. But this specific monologue, I'm doing a British accent, and it's from the James Bond movie Casino Royale, the character Vesper. And she's got, I think, a great example for a British accent. And one thing you want to avoid doing is trying to do stereotypical accents. A lot of times if someone says British accent, you automatically think something cheesy like, "Hello, governor," and people don't really talk like that in England. Like, try to stay away from trying to mimic an accent. Try to see it as, you know, you're taking the accent apart and picking out pieces and learning how it works. Like, okay, this accent, they roll their R's. This accent, they have very soft R's, and the tone is lower, you know, stuff like that. Try to pick out specifics. Don't try to mimic an accent or mimic a person, because you'll end up sounding cheesy. You know, with the Southern accent, try to sound like you grew up speaking this accent. You know, don't try to sound like, you know, "Howdy, partner, I'm doing a Southern accent," and it doesn't sound realistic at all, because people don't actually talk like that. They don't talk like they're making fun of someone or mimicking someone. So that's one thing that you should keep in mind when you're trying to learn an accent, is don't try to mimic. Try to pick it apart and understand it. That may be a little harder than it sounds. It may be easier than it sounds. I don't know. A lot of people pick up accents differently. So that's pretty much my summary for a free way to pick up on accents and learn accents for projects. There are tons and tons of workshops that you can do and lessons you can pay for. But of course, like I said in the first episode, my point of doing this series is to help you guys find free ways to learn things and tips that I learned without paying for school and stuff like that. Not saying that paying for school is bad at all. Just a lot of people can't afford it. A lot of people don't have the time or the privilege to go to school. And so for the people that can't or choose not to go to school, I hope that this helps you guys. So let me know what other episodes you would like to see, anything you want me to cover, from acting to filmmaking, even music, anything creative that you'd like to see. If I've got some tips on it, I will share it with you guys. And now I will end the video and show you guys my monologue. So I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you next time.
All right. By the cut of your suit, you went to Oxford or wherever. Naturally think human beings dress like that. But you wear it with such disdain. My guess is you didn't come from money, and your school friends never let you forget it. Which means you were at that school by the grace of someone else's charity, hence the chip on your shoulder. And since your first thought of me ran to orphan, I would say that's what you are. There you are. I like this poker thing. It makes perfect sense, considering MI6 looks for maladjusted young men who would give little thought to sacrificing others in order to protect Queen and country. You know, former SAS types with easy smiles and expensive watches. Rolex. Beautiful. Now, having just met you, I wouldn't go as far as to call you a cold-hearted bastard. But I don't think it's a stretch to imagine that you see women as disposable pleasures rather than meaningful pursuits. Which is why, Mr. Bond, as charming as you are, I'll be keeping my eye on our government's money and off of your perfectly formed ass.